Hello, and thank you for joining us on this Tuesday evening, a little bit earlier than we have been doing of late. Tuesdays will always be reasonably early because in an hour's time we got the old radio show, The Rock Show, 97.2.
Yeah, so it's going to be a very short, 45 minutes max show or talk or get on.
How do you describe it? So we're into week 5, and I like the idea of... actually, do you remember that film, Number 5 is Alive? I can't remember what it's called, Short Circuit.
Oh, I know. Mambo number 5.
You've not come across the film Short Circuit? It's a wonderful kind of
Oh, yes, I did,
science
yeah.
fiction film for children, really, but I'm a
did,
big
yeah.
kid.
Yeah,
And
great.
I'm very sort of heartwarming. But the fact is, we're still here, 5 weeks into this thing. If we'd still been wandering around, I would probably have popped my clogs by now, and Irma would be in intensive care. So here we are, enjoying ourselves in the comfort and privacy of our living room. But we invite you in.
Yep, that's right. So, what were you up to today, David?
And Rocker Kev is in the house. Good evening, sir.
Hello.
A little task. I mean, I don't know if you used to listen to Radio Caroline back in the day, but we heard last night that the founder of that station, Mr. Ronan O'Reilly, passed. If you did listen to that station, Kevin, and if you can think of any records that remind you of those times, then whack them to me in Messenger, preferably, and I will give them a spin. In 60 minutes' time. I've got one or two that on the top of my head, but a few more would be kind of good. So anyways, we are looking at all the news to do with what's been going on here at home, what's been going on in the big wide world. The figures appeared to shoot up today on the old virus deaths, but it was a bit of a blip. It was 880 something, I think 882 off the top of my head, but it was a catch-up because sometimes their figures lag a bit, and some of these went right back to March. So it's no cause for alarm. Hello, Kevin. It's really nice to have you. And hello, Cal. Cal, you must tell us, because we were debating this all day, how you get this notification when we go live, because we couldn't work out to do it. I'm an old technophobe, you know. But so if there's an easy way of clicking something, then Irma will know when it started, and she's got to rush in the room and all that. But plus, all the people who kind of follow us, like our friend Scott and all this kind of thing, will know when we start, given that we're pretty random sort of folks. Hope your day was good, Cal, and that things went well.
Lovely to see you. So lovely to see you.
So one thing I did work out today is why we see notifications of some people watching this, and there are more people watching this than we've had notifications, and yet we don't see some of them. And Facebook tells you, "Hello, Joanna. It's lovely to see today. To see you today. I hope that you and Nigel and Ali had a wonderful, wonderful day. And for Ali, it's like paradise because no school to go to and just mud pies to make in the garden. All this beautiful furniture and stuff that is piling up."
Mum and Daddy all for herself. And granted, I think.
That's wonderful. And a sort of imaginary David and Irma that she was talking to today. I don't know if you saw that post.
No,
yeah, she was pretending that she was talking to us on you know. So lovely, but anyway, we digress. And in fact, there was a thing on the BBC News website today, which when I saw of that I thought of Ali as well and other kids. They had a feature about children's drawings from lockdown, which is ever so nice, you know. And there you go. So we'll have to have a couple from Ali, I think, of you know, her perception
on that
of the
note,
world.
I was listening to a podcast today about how to explain to children this lockdown, because you don't want them to become germ phobic, that they're going to develop an issue when they grow older. Everything that we reflect as phobia just now when we are grown up is they're mainly originated in childhood. So we have to really explain them what the situation is without being so over the top in terms of, so they won't develop any phobia and things like that.
You don't need to tell them what RNA is.
I don't think they will understand.
Exactly, my point precisely, and or the coats.
Having said that, Ali's super clever girl. God.
She is, and so yeah, we heard the news today that Virgin.
Oh, she's there with her.
Oh, isn't that lovely? Oh,
Hello,
Ali. It's so lovely, isn't it? Lovely to have Ali watching, who is not quite as old as the two of us, but you know she's a lovely little girl, and it's super to have her joining us this evening. Hello from Irma and from David. And she always expects us to see us together, so here we are. That's so very nice, so incredibly wonderful. So we saw the news today that the airline Virgin Australia has called the administrators in. Primark have gone from Paul. Hello, a very good evening to you, sir. It's great to have you with us this evening, Paul from Colchester-ish. We're talking about all the stuff that's been going on in the world of business and stuff. Oil, the price of crude oil went negative, so that they have to pay you to take it away, and we think of sticking some of that in the garden, And then we heard that Primark went from, I think, £650 million worth of sales last month to zero this month, big fat zero. John Lewis and Primark, the only thing they had in common before that was that John Lewis's temporary store here in Cambridge, while they were rebuilding their big one, was moved into Primark when they left. That's the only connection on it. But they both furloughed a bunch of staff, which makes sense because it'll all bounce back. I saw a graph today from the IMF, which just shows in terms of economic activity. So we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay, and that is the takeaway from this. There's some short-term pain for very much long-term gain, obviously the high street is just not somewhere where we're going to be going at the moment. So
for a long while, I suppose.
I was absolutely gutted though, because there's a Facebook page called The View from My Window, which has got about nearly 2 million subscribers. It only started a week ago, so I sent them a very the pictures they have are the view over St. Petersburg or something, or Table Mountain, or the Himalayas or something. So I sent them the view from my window, which, being perfectly frank about this, is the car park. It's an empty car park, and they didn't publish it. It stayed in pending posts all day. So I've removed it now. If you don't want my picture, that's it. You won't get to see the car park just outside the window there. Well, I was going to say behind us, but in front of us, but behind the camera. Mm-hmm. And it's empty. Where no one. This is the main railway station for the city of Cambridge, whence we reside, and it's totally empty. This car park. There's like about 3 cars in the whole place, and there are very, very few. We can actually see from here as well. The trains coming in and out. We've seen about 2 or 3 all day, so things pretty slow. Don't see many cars either, really.
No.
Nor even bicycles, and this is Cambridge. This is Bicycle Central, although not in the top 10 with that list that Kevin sent us the other day, but probably bubbling under, But everybody's staying at home. We're all being good guys and observing a lockdown, which I think is a terrific thing to be doing right now. And we're very happy to have you in our home.
Indeed. So, what have we been up to today?
Well. Now here's the thing, which is quite interesting, that police are getting people ringing them up to grass up their neighbours and people for breaking and other people for breaking the curfew. So they're known as COVIDiots. It's not just me that coined the phrase, and they are, because it's a highly contagious thing. And 3 weeks later, so we really don't want to go out there and But the question has been raised as to whether people are doing this in the public good, which I'd hope is the case, or whether they're settling scores with people they don't like, where they've had a dispute over the dustbin or something in previous years. But I think, in any event, the police are there dispersing crowds. They're doing this not only to save the lives of the COVIDiots, but also to save, not only the resources of the NHS, but also the lives of the NHS, because the doctors, as I found out in my conversation with my good friend Dr. Mike on Saturday, the docs have to bear the brunt of this, and some of them will get ill. So Cal says a box just appeared on the left side at the bottom of the screen.
It's probably in response at 7:04 p.m. Probably to tell her that you were live.
Well, that is so wonderful. But when a box appears in the corner of your screen and you're watching on Facebook, other platforms are available, but not for me. Then do click it, and we'll try and keep you entertained in our sort of. It's a bit like sort of actually you guys visiting the zoo for the day and looking through the bars and seeing us, isn't it? Really, and you know that's fine. That's fine. We're captive here. Hello, Andrea. Thank you for joining us. It's very very good to have you along. So yeah, we're talking about whether we should ring up our neighbours. What do you reckon? Tell us in the comments. Should we ring up somebody like the police or something to report our neighbours having a barbecue or something and having 50 friends around in the middle of this lockdown? There was a funeral we saw the other day in Bangladesh, and that was insane. There was about 1,000 people came to the funeral of albeit a well-respected preacher, but they should have known better. They should have stayed home. A lot of those are going to be unwell in the coming weeks, and they go, I wonder why. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Kevin. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday evening. And Tuesday night is rock night, so we're on a bit earlier tonight. And if you care to follow on and join me for the tunes at 8 when I'll be switching on the wireless and switching off the old Facebook, probably at about 10:02, because I tried it once and I left it a bit too fine, the gap in between finishing this and starting that, and that was a bit late.
Yeah. That was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Today we've been doing all sorts of techie stuff over at the railway. Looking out the window over at the radio station, because one of the there's lots of computers and racks and equipment and kit and everything, and just a little bit of stuff here. And one of the things at the radio station went wrong today, so our intrepid hero Sam went over to fix it, and then we were testing it and everything. So that's how it is. So Sharon has sent us, oh my goodness, a very amusing video of Victoria Wood, which I will very much enjoy looking at later. And Sharon says my neighbour died just after lockdown. We were away. I was sad. I didn't know. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that.
Every day I'm touched by terrible news of people passing, and you know, the fact that we're light-hearted and flippant here doesn't make it in any way we're not sort of trivialising that aspect of things. Let me absolutely assure you. So Kevin says on the settings, which is the top right-hand corner, that's probably up there on your screen, or it might be up there on your screen because I never know which side it is. But on the top right, you can change preference for live notifications, which is something that you can do, and hopefully that helps.
Yeah.
So yes. So anyway, moving forwards.
Yeah. It's sad that to know that a lot of people have passed, and it's happening. We are not taking anything light in those sense.
No.
But what happens is we like to focus on the good things. We all doing our best in order to keep ourselves sane. So being in touch with us using this platform is just been an amazing, even for the two of us. We miss seeing our son and our families, but here we are. So.
Oh, see there, it says invent friends. That's something just popped up.
Invite friends.
Thanks to the wonderful Mr. Zuckerberg. Something just popped up in the left-hand side of my screen saying invite friends. So how absolutely lovely. I'll have to bear that in mind.
Shall I
next time around?
Shall I do it?
Well, we could, but we'd be sort of like that for the whole video, which might be a bit scary actually, since we're the sort of grizzly bears in the zoo. You don't want them coming close to the cage. I was in Berlin Zoo once, you know, because zoos are not very nice places for the animals, and Berlin Zoo was particularly kind of cramped, really. It was a lion, and he'd obviously done this before, but he was sort of putting on a little show for all the visitors. And so everybody kind of crowded in towards the, I was going to say stage, towards what it was a bit of a stage for him, towards the sort of bars in his cage. And then he turned towards the crowd, it was a boy lion, and he peed on us.
Ew.
But, you know, that was his way of saying, look, guys, I shouldn't be in here. I should be roaming in the wild. And you're quite right, too. But obviously, given that there are now hotheads with guns who thinks it's cool to shoot wonderful animals, you know, it's a kind of safe place. But that's a sad thing. Hello, Steve. It's really good to have you joining us tonight. We were having a good old chatter yesterday, a good old natter when our Live at 5, which is coming to the David channel on this coming Monday. So hopefully you'll get to see that as well, because We try to do about 2 lives a day, don't we? Really, we do one, and then Irma's going to be doing some of her own, and I sort of have some friends in. So it's kind
I think Siri's been doing a vegetable patch. Is it
of
vegetable or
do a
herbs?
vegetable patch. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We could film it in real time. The sort of the beans growing and everything, and by the time they get the top. Oh yeah, that was a very funny thing that my friend Karen posted today, which I reposted, which was only 37 claps to Christmas, which is quite a thought, really, isn't it? But what one of the newspapers was saying today. Oh, and thank you so much. Sharon has written us a beautiful poem. I'm gonna abandon what I'm doing here to read this.
Please read it. This is,
Whoa! Oh,
wow.
this is superb. This is superb. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon.
So here is Sharon's poem. We see in our head a vision, a picture, a graph maybe, as clear as a bright day. It must have come from somewhere. But did it? Or did it just appear like before? Before it there was nothing. The seed of thought. Captured. Held. Played with maybe. Or smashed deeply. Or away metaphorically until maybe another time. However, if held, you can begin to nurture and care for the seed, to bear the fruit, and maybe visualize the way, the path, to enable you to successfully manifest, not just as envisaged, but creatively and organically, with mastery and subsequently artistry, moulded to that which may or will be. And so the seed of thought evolves, as intended, visualized and experienced uniquely by you. And who you choose to impart and give your beliefs and ideas to, so that they could then intend to, visualize the vision, and like you, with energy and emotion, create and manifest too, enabling the whole to be much greater than the sum of the parts. The gap, you see, between the vision in your head and manifestation couldn't happen without you, without intention, vision, visualization, implementation, action, and immersion in the experience. You create the script, and of course, live. And once you live, your capacity is amplified so much more. There is no need. It is just what it is. And when your vision, intention, visualization of the actions and manifestation occurs, you can stand back, look at the masterpiece, and embrace the fact that successfully it has been done, as you choose, when you choose, and with whom you choose, but not necessarily for how long you choose. But you knew and believed the outcomes were as once and always believed. Sharon Griffiths, the 18th of April, 2020. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Very good, very good. Amazing.
Sharon has
Thank
sent
you for
us
sharing.
another poem about limiting beliefs, and we'll try and read that one tomorrow. And 2 more poems. Right, that's enough for the whole of the next couple of days. Hello, Diane. Thank you for joining us this evening. We've just been sharing our friend Sharon's poem that she just very kindly put in the messages for us tonight, which was absolutely lovely, absolutely lovely. So now Belgium is hiring corona detectives for when they roll back the lockdown to trace the trace the cases. So that they're going to hire 2,000 investigators to identify people who might be at risk of getting coronavirus, and to stop it further as they gradually sort of take their foot off the gas pedal, which is very gratifying. I think you're about to say something.
Well, no, yes, just to drop at the poem, because it was beautiful. I like poems, and I use poems to basically drop all the feelings that I have inside. But that gave me to September the 10th, which is a little drop of joy. He said, "You can't calm the storm, so stop trying. What you can do is calm yourself. The storm will pass."
That's very true.
So,
are we talking about Hurricane Irma?
yes.
Hey, has there ever been a Hurricane David? I'm not sure. Or a Hurricane Kevin or Hurricane Sharon? I'm not sure, but there's been a hurricane. Has there?
Yeah, I think so. But Irma's been something else. Irma, so that's me.
Irma was really kind of a hurricane to end all hurricanes. Yeah, it's wonderful stuff. So so Belgium's hiring detectives, but in the Netherlands, and I think here it's on the way as well. See, this is and Benelux, the Benelux countries, Belgium and Netherlands, they're just like side by side, really. But in an effort to go on better than their neighbours, the Netherlands have developed an app, which they're now trialing. And I know Apple and Google are working on something as well in that respect, where it communicates basically via Bluetooth, so that your privacy is not impinged, but it just records if you've been at risk of corona or you've had it in the past, it'll sort of blip everybody within who comes within 2 meters of you and tell them, so that then they can go and get checked or self isolated or that kind of, and that's going to save a lot of lives, I think. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's all right.
So now we take it easy to get back to the new life. There's no such thing as normal anymore, or it ever has been.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So then in Japan, because we're looking at the moment, the way all this is enforced and that kind of stuff, and so in Japan you might get a knock on the door, and a policeman would come around, take a few notes, and go away again, and that's kind of their way of caring for people, and not a routine thing that they do from day to day in general time, but something they've been doing during lockdown. So we've all got ways of doing this. Hello, Carol. It's lovely to see our very good friend Carol Neals. Carol used to come for coffee at least once a month in the cafe at the end of the road. We haven't met each other for a while, but we must meet up again, all three of us actually, once the old lockdown is unlocked. But we're going to be in lockdown for a little bit longer, because I've won at the at risk groups, which I found out Saturday from my friend Dr. Mike. But once it's all over, definitely we must have a get together, and with Cal as well. It goes without saying that we're all going to meet up and party like it's 1999.
Yeah.
We should probably party like it's probably, yes, I think, because that was before 9/11, it was before coronavirus, it was before the fires in Australia and all that. So yeah, let's party like it's 1999.
Yep, that's right. So Kevin is saying that Hurricane David was an extremely deadly hurricane which caused massive loss of life in the Dominican Republic in August 1979. You see?
Oh my goodness! But I take it there hasn't then been a Hurricane Kevin, but I stand to be corrected on that one. Because I know they use letters of the alphabets and names and everything and da da da. So we're a couple of hurricanes. That explains all our stormy things that we do.
Thank you for saving our lives.
Rodney, a very good evening to you. Thank you, one of our kind of regular visitors on these little chats, which is ever so nice. And our invite friends button is still there on the left hand side. So I think probably tomorrow we'll have a go. We'll have to kind of get a kind of selfie stick or something that we can poke the screen with and invite a few friends to join us at our little sort of private house party that we're having tonight.
With coffee.
well, yes, absolutely, and it's I'm in favour of the attitude of the police in Japan, just sort of like being friendly and in the way that in small communities, but I think this guy was in Tokyo. In central Tokyo, because in small communities you do get the village bobby, and here that some of the police do go around on push bikes. Not all, only a few, but we've had postmen around on push bikes as well. Postmen had a stupid thing that they did though a couple of years ago, which wasn't the postman, it was their bosses. Very good evening to Adam, my very good friend from way back from the BBC. We must have a get together at some time when all this lockdown is over as well, because it'd be lovely to catch up on you and your kind of family that all arrived after the days when we knew each other, and we should meet up with our friend Mike as well. The last time I saw Mike was when he had our 60th birthday party on a long sort of boaty thing on the Thames, and he was playing his guitar. And more convincing it was than Charlie Watts on the drums over the weekend with his packing cases. But having said that, I don't think I'd get 2 million views for sitting there with some packing cases, but Charlie Watts is, to be fair, an absolutely awesome drummer, and let's not knock it. And he plays, he does some jazz and blues and stuff as well as his work with the Stones. An absolute one of those legends.
Yeah.
One of those legends.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. All about change. In our lives, change is unavoidable. Loss is unavoidable. In the adaptability and easy with which we experience change lies our happiness and freedom. So that was the Buddha's word. So they
Cool.
say, yeah.
Cool.
Basically, we have to adapt, and change. Otherwise, we'll still be living in caves. So
I
see how
love
we
these.
gonna.
I love these little quotes of yours. They're just great.
Thank you.
They're
Well,
very apt.
little drops of joy.
Big, but little drops make up a big ocean when you've got lots of them. So way to go, says
Oh.
Cal, which is wonderful. And push bikes, yeah, push bikes.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely, because even though it's a city, it's not a city in the sense that Tokyo is, or Mexico City, or London here in Cambridge. We've only got about, I think it's about 60,000 people live here, so it's a kind of towny type of city.
Yeah.
Rather than a city type of city.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I was on the, I won't be going on a bus again soon, but anytime soon, or a train. So I've wasted most of the money on my 2 rail cards we had this year, one each, because I'm very elderly and I've got the geriatric one, and Irma here has got the sort of under 18 one or whatever it is,
I know.
18 to 23 one. So
I
kind
wish.
of we got the 2 rail
No,
cards,
don't, actually, no.
network card. But anyway, so I was on the top floor of a bus. This was shortly after I moved here. And I came here from the busy metropolis that is London, and I was thinking, well, there's just about enough here to do to stop me falling asleep and blah 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 blah. And there were these 2 ladies sitting in front of me, a bit like the 2 ladies that they had in Monty Python, where I think it was Terry Jones and Michael Palin dressed up as kind of housewives having a conversation. And these two ladies in front of me were discussing how busy the centre of Cambridge was, because there were at least 2 bicycles that day, and they're going, my God, we can't come here all the time. We have to sort of take the tranquilizers and things and lie down and rest when we go home. And I was thinking, my goodness, I'm almost falling asleep. So it's all about how we look at a place and how we view it.
Yeah, Cambridge is beautiful. It's got everything. Lots of people. Yeah, lots of people, except from nowadays.
Yeah, because and having said this, I grew up in a what they call a one horse town. We did have horses because just at the end of the road there was a stable, and they used to go past our house. The people learning to ride said horses, and not my dad, but a lot of the neighbours used to get very annoyed because because these were just mud paths, and the horses used to go along with their hooves. That's the word, which we were looking for today, I think, earlier on, hooves.
Yeah.
And churn up the old road. So there wasn't tarmac or anything as modern as that, back in the day. It was a bit, rough and ready. And our telephone, which I think I mentioned before, was a very old sort of Bakelite thing, and you had to push a button on the top of the telephone to get a line because you were sharing it with 2 or 3 neighbours, and you could pick up the phone and hear them talking, and they'd go, "Oh, sorry," you put it back again because there just wasn't enough string out there. I mean,
really?
seriously, it was proper third world stuff.
Oh wow.
On the outskirts of Colchester, there in the wilderness. Now, Kevin says that. Buckingham Palace has
Captain Moore.
a couple of things actually. Yeah, Captain. And hello, Michael. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're honoured to have you with us. Captain Tom Moore opened Nightingale Hospital in Harrogate today. Yo, he's fabulous. That is fabulous. What an incredibly inspiring man. And if you're friends with Kevin on Facebook, Kevin just changed his cover photo to this amazing thing, which I will try and find it if I can while we're talking and show it to you in a minute, because it was no internet, so I won't. But anyway,
but it's an amazing.
I would have done
photo.
if I could. And
let me see if I can
maybe
find it.
Irma will find it on her little device made by that Steve Jobs fella. Oh, there it is. Turn it round. Right, up we go.
Oh,
up we go.
beautiful.
Isn't that a lovely image of Captain Tom, and he's kind of leading his comrades from days ago. You can't see it very well on Facebook, but you will see it quite well on YouTube, which is where these things end up
it's
tomorrow.
Beautiful.
And it's a very moving picture.
Can I share it?
If Kevin doesn't mind, that would be super. So another a bit of information from Kevin. Buckingham Palace has posted some archive footage of the Queen as a child to mark her 94th birthday today, which she's spending in lockdown with Prince Philip at Windsor Castle. That's very amazing.
Happy birthday.
And Rodney says, if you remember, we had a meeting a couple of years ago at Cambridge Station. I do remember, in the coffee shop, which is Cafe Nero. Other shops are available. And it was a charity donation from a Kevin Wright event. So Rodney is from Cambridge originally. I didn't know that, actually, but lives in Bury St Edmunds. I did know that. See, you learn something new every day. He still visits Cambridge, though not now. 100,000 population, he says, and 12,000 students. So Wow. And Rodney, next time you're in Cambridge, post to lockdown, not now because I'd have to shoot you. But next time you're in Cambridge after the lockdown, it would be lovely to meet up for another coffee, maybe in that same place. I didn't realise you come here regularly. Cal McDonald says the operator could listen to shock horror. My goodness, what on earth? What on earth? But
yeah, a little bit like the devices nowadays. All these Gordana, no, it's Cortana, isn't it?
Yes.
They can listen. They listen to you.
Oh yeah, I thought you were saying Nirvana, but I listen to Nirvana, but Nirvana doesn't listen to me.
Cortana, Siri, all those.
Okay, we might play some Nirvana on the rock show. Anyways, enough of that nonsense. I am going to have a bigger picture in a minute of with if Kevin doesn't mind, of his cover photo because it's so beautiful. So in the time we've been nattering away, my fingers have been doing the walking. That was a BT thing, wasn't it? I think. And there it is again. And this is maybe you can see it a bit better now, especially because the contrast wasn't very good on. So that's the most beautiful picture of I think we can see that on Facebook as well of the absolutely wonderful Captain Tom leading his comrades from many years ago. And I don't know if that's an image that Kevin made himself, but it's
a wonderful life.
Fabulous.
Living.
Great brewery tour, says Sharon of Berries and Evans, which reminds me that I must contact my friend Oliver, who contacted me about a fortnight ago. He's a lovely boy, lovely fella, and I haven't rung him back yet. So that is inexcusable. The late and very great John Peel, the Radio 1 DJ, was actually buried at St Edmundsbury Cathedral in Bury St Edmunds, and my friend Oliver actually has a property that overlooks it, and Rodney is drinking a fine ale now. Cheers to you, sir. I'm the best dad ever, apparently.
Coffee and to follow wine.
I had to buy that myself, but anyway. You know, it's my story and I'm sticking to it. So, and Irma has got the whole world in her hands, which I think is a song. I got the whole world in my hands. I can't see the UK at all. It's too tiny, isn't it? It's somewhere. That's Australia.
It's just over there.
You blink and you miss it. There's no UK on there. Oh, there it is. There we are here in the United Kingdom. It's a tiny little dot, isn't it? Really,
So,
we're very self-inflated and think of a lot of ourselves given the size of our country compared to the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific. So but there aren't many people who live in the Atlantic or Pacific, except my very good friend Ferry Mart, who is a top radio and club DJ from the Netherlands, and he's gone to live in the island of Bonaire in the middle of the Atlantic. Well, it's not in the middle of the Atlantic; it's just off the coast of Venezuela. But it kind of looks like that when you're sitting on your roof looking at the airport through binoculars.
Nice weather, mostly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that's true. Oh, hello, Gibanessa. We are honoured that you join us, and we're sorry that we haven't. Gibanessa runs these amazing 2-hour daily events where people look at poems and films and the creators, and they share their art and this kind of thing. And we are terribly sorry that we don't have the time to go there every day, but whenever we do have a slot, we always pop along. They're on Zoom, isn't it? On the Zoom platform.
Yes.
And that's such a wonderful thing to do, and that started right at the beginning of lockdown. It's a great sort of uplifting experience. And I remember one of the ones we went on. There was a cartoonist from one of the newspapers in Scotland who was on there showing his cartoons and then talking about his more serious work. And he's got exhibitions coming up, and he was talking about the pressures of having to come up with a sort of funny idea and then to draw it on a daily basis to meet these newspapery type deadlines. It was fascinating. It was absolutely fascinating, and there was only a few of us there in the virtual room. So lovely. And that's an example. We'd have been able to pop into a cafe in Scotland to have a tea with a coffee with our friends, and then be back here in time for supper or something. But the internet enables that. So I do hope that we'll be doing a lot more of that moving forward, and there'll be more of that kind of thing coming up. That would be absolutely wonderful. If things pan out in that way, and I do hope that things will pan out in that way, and that society will be kind of a lot better moving forward in that sense.
Yeah, we're going to do now. Oh, what's that?
It's lovely to have this sort of interaction going on. I wish we could have this every night. Maybe we will. I'll have to sort of push for it. So we got Kevin and Rodney and Sharon talking to us this evening. Sharon says, "My hubby brews beer and appreciates appreciated the beer, which is fabulous. So we'll have to, after lockdown, we'll have to put Sharon in touch with Rodney, and we'll see if we can get something going there. And her husband, yeah. Rodney says the Angel Hotel is lovely opposite the Abbey. Charles Dickens stayed there in his travels. Ooh. And Kevin says that the Health Secretary Matt Hancock has said that the Oxford University researchers, the ones who were interviewed on that fella Andrew Marr on Sunday morning, that these Oxford University researchers have said that they will begin human trials of a potential vaccine on Thursday.
Yes.
Oh yeah, this is fabulous. This is fabulous because you remember, as I was saying the other day, the old herd immunity thing, that silly guy who's got the same initials as me, DC, was telling the Tories that they should let everybody catch it so that we get herd immunity. It doesn't work, because if we get this actual virus, we can get it again. The immunity is only a couple of weeks, so that was a real no-no. But the old vaccines are specifically engineered to lock into the things on the outside of the thing, however that is. Do you like I should do science lectures, shouldn't I? But anyway, so these vaccines are absolutely precisely engineered to nobble the old coronaviruses, and so they will give you immunity for a couple of years. So it's a different thing. So this is one where we've got one over nature. I know the time is ticking on, but I'm going to try and get the rock show ready in a quarter of an hour, which means that we'll speak to you for another 10 minutes, and then we'll go, for which I apologise. So anyways,
Then, yeah, we have.
So people will value health and well-being more. Yes, I think we'll value a lot of things, but we'll value family, we'll value friends, we'll value love, we'll value all the things that in our sort of busy world have been passing us by, and we'll realise that it was all crap. It was all pointless, and that there's far more meaning to life than the sort of boring, drab, meaningless 9 to 5 we've been doing. And we'll have to get those property prices down, so we'll have to make sure that happens, so that people don't have to work their whole life. So that, like, when I bought my first property, 2 or 3 years you could pay off the mortgage. It wasn't high as a proportion of income, and one partner, not two, had to work for 25 years to pay off £600,000 or something, but one person had to work a couple of years to pay off £30,000. It's insane that all these prices have gone up. It doesn't help us. It doesn't give things that we can pass on to our kids. It's not wealth we can spend. It just puts us in debt to the banks forever. So that's got to stop. Now, Sharon is saying that her husband has just. Am I reading this correctly? I think so, because I'm looking at this conversation. I don't think it's Charles Dickens. I think it's Sharon's husband that has just built a brewery. Yeah, how about that? That's just an amazing thing. Wow. Wow. We've got a former brewery at the end of our road, but now it's a coffee shop. We'll invite Sharon to come there for a coffee post lockdown. But our lockdown, mine anyway, at the very least, is going to be until this is over, until there's a vaccine, until there's a cure. And the government is very much as well at the moment. That was one of the newspapers was talking about this. I think it was one of the red tops. I think it was the Express or something. That the government is very much in the palm of the scientists at the moment, because you release the lockdown, we will get ill again. You send us back into lockdown, we kind of get miserable. So we're all waiting on that cure. It's no pressure, scientists, no pressure. We're just waiting at home here. But if you could come up with something quickly, it would be greatly appreciated. It would be greatly appreciated. But if you don't, we're not going to send the boys round.
But like Sharon said, it's time for us to really recapitulate our lives and just start afresh with new habits, healthy habits, hopefully, and just look after our health, take our vitamins, and keep our immune system as healthier as it can be. So if there's anything else coming our way, at least we have a strong immune system, and more so positivity as well. It is very, very, very intrinsically linked to as a whole, not just the immune system, but also what you feed in here. It will reflect in everything else that comes down your body, and you exude that what you do, what you eat. It is true. You are what you eat, and if we put a lot of bad stuff into our bodies. Of course, bad stuff is going to be coming out in sports, in behaviors, in situations. So look after your immune system. Keep taking your vitamins, do exercise, feed your brains with the right, correct information. If you do need to, I mean, we all need to be informed about what's happening in terms of the coronavirus, but just once a day, just catch yourself. Oh, is the same? Okay, let's carry on doing. It's easy said, difficult done, but it is amazing once you manage to get this strength, this power, this control of what your life can be after this lockdown.
Absolutely so. Absolutely so. I'm just going to show you a picture before I talk about what Sharon and Rodney have been saying on the in the comments. They're talking about how aeroplanes were designed. I know one of the ones, I'm not sure whether it was EasyJet, was saying that they were going to just sit people in the aisle and the window
Yes.
seats. And then there are various designs that are coming up. This is you probably can't see it all that well, but it's passengers with basically bits of perspex around their heads so they don't cough on each other so much. And it'll give you a bit more privacy, I suppose, and that kind of thing. And they've even these are only mock-ups done by an agency at the moment. There's even a thing where the middle seat is facing the other way from everybody else, which is quite an interesting concept. And it's actually safer, if the seats on the planes face the opposite to the direction of travel, but it just wouldn't be very popular. Yeah, there's a whole conversation going on here on the old thread, we're talking about things that contribute to good health and well-being. We're talking about Sharon's mortgage in 1989 was 85% of her salary, but I bet you had a big house then, and I had just had a tiny studio flat, so that's the difference, you see. Yeah, Sharon's hubby is now building a log cabin. Wow, woo,
Amazing.
that's terrific. Whoa, and Sharon is still waiting for the kitchen, but come on, we've got to get our priorities right, haven't we?
Oh,
With B&Q being
you have a
closed,
property question from Rodney.
we do. Did we?
Cost of land and bill
Did I?
costs.
I'm scrolling
Whoa.
through. The cost of land and build costs are very expensive. Will land go down in value? Well, it will if demand tails off. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. It's early days. I'm doing a bit of land at the moment, so let's hope it doesn't until I've done that. But after that, well, who knows? It's a kind of it depends on supply, demand, and the banks, our lords and masters. So we'll have to. It's too early to call.
I think
This thing sort of came out of the blue, and we've got to go within the next 5 minutes because the world is waiting, and we will. We mustn't be late this time because I got a smack on my body for being late with the rock show a couple of weeks back, and I couldn't sit down for 3 days, and that wasn't the station manager because we're not allowed to see each other. Anyways, so possibly new ways of travelling around, which I think is wonderful. Oh, this is so nice. We've got to do this. We keep saying we're going to do this. Captain Tom Moore has had 25,000 birthday cards for his 100th birthday.
my God.
And why haven't we sent him one yet? I'm sure that you have, but we need to do it as well. And I hope when we come on tomorrow, we'll have the good news that we did. Which is that's a lovely kind of bit of news. Well, 3 million pupils tuned into the first day of BBC's lockdown learning service yesterday. I wasn't one of them, but maybe I'll tune in tomorrow. I think it was with the EastEnders guy. But anyway, 3 million pupils, and the previous record was 1.3 million on March 23rd. So that's the future of kind of school. When I was a kid, we had we used to listen to school things on the radio, and there was a lovely fellow called Douglas Coombs, who I met later when I was working at the BBC, and he used to do kind of music programs for children and teaching them songs like about a kookaburra who lived in an old oak tree, or a homemade car that used to have bits falling on. Lovely fella, and those were happy days. Hello Gaia, and hello Sarah. Thank you for joining us this evening. Sharon says she heard today that land is going up, which is quite interesting. Can't really say one way or the other on that. I don't know.
Don't think so. I've been looking at the project for about 3 years, and it's about the same. It was high price at the end. It all depends on where you find the land. because and depends on the construction cost per square meter. Is it £14, £17? I don't know. It all depends on what kind of finish. But yeah, it's going up. Who buy? That's the thing.
Now, do you have one of your inspired closing thoughts for us this evening, Irma, if you wouldn't mind?
I do. Just to close up, let's have a look. Everyday mindfulness. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. To surf, by John Kabat-Zinn. Yeah.
Ooh.
Each morning we're born again. What we do today is what matters the most. So each morning, make sure that you look at the mirror and say, "You are brilliant. You're worth it." And let's go and get it. Whatever you do, even if it is a bit of exercise, is your life. You're in control.
Thank you so much for your company tonight. We're really honoured to have you aboard, and we'll see you tomorrow, and we love you. Take good care of yourselves.